Welcome to The Long Game. We're here with Dina Goldentayer. Needs no introduction, but I'm gonna go ahead and give you some of her amazing background. So Dina is the #1 real estate agent in Miami, which is a huge accomplishment. She's the #1 real estate agent at Douglas Elliman nationwide. She sold nearly $4 billion worth of real estate. She's been in the industry, she's been in the game for 20 years. She has an incredible story. She's an immigrant, and we're super happy and fortunate to have her here. Dina, welcome to the show.
Thank you for that glowing introduction.
You deserve it. So you are at the top of the game. You are the queen of Venetian. You've sold many of Miami's most beautiful homes, but it didn't always start out that way. You have a really interesting story, how you got into real estate. People today, especially with social media, we're gonna talk about social media, how that's helped a lot of people's careers, especially yours. People see the highlights.
Yes.
And a lot of people see the shortcuts. They want a shortcut to success. It isn't that way. And you're an immigrant. You weren't born here. Where were you born? And then when did you come to the U.S.?
I was born in Moldova, and I moved to the States when I was 7 years old.
Okay. Wow. And where did you move when you moved?
To the suburbs of Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay. So from Moldova, Russia,
Yes.
to Baltimore, Maryland. And what was growing up in Maryland like?
Maryland, where we moved, was a suburb, or I should say a subdivision with a lot of Russian immigrants.
Okay.
So it was, we didn't have the language, so it was like a nice place to start. Moldova is its own country now, but when we left, it was part of Russia.
Okay, so in 1989,
Yes.
you moved to Maryland. You went to the
Elementary.
University of Maryland.
Oh, that's later. But yes, I came here. I went to elementary school.
Okay.
I went to I graduated from University of Maryland College Park,
Okay.
and I moved to Miami. And I needed a break before going to law school, and I decided that the best career move would be to work in a nightclub and be a bottle service waitress. And everyone loves that part of my story because there's so many memes on Instagram that former cocktail waitress becomes popular realtor. So I have a lot of people that send me those memes on Instagram because they think it's so funny. And I think it's funny too, but the reality is I graduated magna cum laude, right? I was Phi Beta Kappa. I was definitely very much into education.
What year did you move to Miami?
I moved here 23 years ago, whatever
20?
that year is.
Okay, so 2003.
Yes.
So you moved in 2003. You came on vacation or you came?
No, I moved.
Okay.
I found a roommate. I packed up. I needed a break. I was really burnt out from undergrad because I rushed through it. I did it in 3 years, whereas most people do it in 4. And I just needed like a place where I could get some, R&R, but also make some money.
Okay. And how did you choose where to work? You said you worked at a nightclub. Which nightclub?
I worked in a nightclub called Mint, which at the time was the #1 nightclub in the country. And just like in my real estate business where I only do the best, I certainly chose to work at the best too.
And Mint is still around.
Mint is still around, but when I started, the first week at Mint, Sting sat with me, Janet Jackson sat with me, LL Cool J sat with me. Like Mint was where it's at.
And when you were working at Mint, you were inspired to get into real estate.
I was inspired because I bought my first condo when I was a cocktail waitress at Mint. I was 22 years old, and that really showed me like, wait a second, I like this real estate thing.
You had a special way, Dina, to get your name out there in the early days. What was that when you were working at the nightclub? It was
Sure. So it was a really good economy at the time, and people were spending 10 grand on champagne almost every night, and I would leave my real estate card in the checkbook of the people that were spending that kind of money.
So you saw big spenders, people coming to Miami, you put your real estate card in there, and how was it getting clients in the early days? You're working late nights
Sure.
in the nightclub, in the industry, but you wanted more. You were good in school, you were smart, you were motivated, and you wanted to transition out of the nightlife industry and into real estate.
It was just a fun pit stop. My thinking was everyone's getting drunk every night and is hungover. I'm getting drunk and making a ton of money. So it just felt like a better career move. But it was such a good market that it was just very easy to sell a condo to someone. Because in a tougher market, that's when a lot of the agents get weeded out. In a good market, everybody's selling something. So that was a really strong condo market that ultimately led to Miami's condo recession. But my first real estate sale was to a family friend, which is normal. My second real estate sale was to someone who had sat with me.
Okay. Wow. So you turned a client in the nightclub into a client in real estate.
I did. It was a $465,000 sale, but nevertheless,
Wow.
it was a big deal.
Which building?
It was Crevassier in Brickell Key.
And how long were you working in the nightlife industry? And when did you say, all right, I'm hanging it up,
Sure.
I'm going full-time real estate?
It took me a year to make that transition. I'm even at that young age, right? I was 22, 23. I've always been conservative. So I didn't want to make one, big rip and then not know how I was going to be paying my mortgage. So I gave up one night, then I gave up another night, and then I kept just one night just to make sure that my bills were being paid. And ultimately, when I felt like now I have a pipeline, I gave up the side hustle, as that was no longer necessary nor healthy, because staying up till 5 a.m. is just not good for anyone.
And what kind of deals, what kind of clients did you work on? This is the very early days,
Yeah.
the early 2000s.
I worked on everything, right? I worked on $1,200 a month rentals. If someone called me with a budget of $700,000, it was like a big deal. My first multi-million-dollar deal I did when I was 26 years old. They were a walk-in into a sales center that I was working in, because I did dabble in new development in the earlier parts of my career. It was really like a healthy trajectory for me.
Back then, in those early days, were you selective on the neighborhoods, or
No.
were you kind of, wherever a client is looking, you'll represent them?
I'll do anything, anywhere, at any price point. I'll drive wherever. I was super hungry, super motivated, and really had, no threshold.
A quality that we see among successful people is they're hungry, they're willing to do whatever it takes to be
Yeah.
successful. They do the dirty work, so to speak, that other people don't want to do, that's unglamorous.
Yeah.
And it takes a while over the years to get better and better and better. And then, so your first few years in the business, how was the evolution into improving, doing better deals, bigger deals?
Sure.
What was that like?
It was very organic, right? Like someone would buy something, and then 2 or 3 years later, they'd want to sell it. They would call me. The market had gone up, so I'd be selling at a higher price point. Then they'd want to go buy something. They'd call me. It was just really a healthy grind. And because I got into real estate at a young age, it almost like taught me that you don't want too much too soon. Because had I started doing massive deals so early on in my career, it's almost like, well, then what are you working towards?
Right.
And I think with today's generation and with the popularity of social media, it almost looks like, everyone's an overnight success. And if you're not doing $10 million deals, what are you? It almost feels like, in many other facets, almost a goal that is not truly, reality, right? Like, as they say, Instagram versus reality, right?
That's right. That's right. So now we have Instagram, of course. We have many social media tools.
Yeah.
In the early days, how did you market yourself?
Yeah.
What were some of the ways that you put yourself out there?
I wasn't really into marketing myself. I was into being a buyer's agent.
Okay.
Right? So marketing really comes into play when you want listings, right? Because listings require you to market them. But I was almost exclusively, for the first 2 years, focused on buyers and renters. I saw listings as a liability. I didn't want to spend money on marketing. And I just had, a very young person's mentality. And only later was it ingrained in me that you have to list to last. And I started focusing on listings. And those listings tended to be overpriced, poorly presented, and didn't sell. So I did not enjoy listings for many, many years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was challenging, and it takes a while to really build momentum in any career. And so this was maybe year 4 or 5 in your career.
No, it was like year 2, year 3.
Okay. Year 2, year 3.
Yeah.
What sale or what year would you say was your best year and was really the catalyst to help you go to the next level? Was there one year, or was it a steady build over time?
Oh, you know how it is in sales, right? Not every year is better than the next. If there are economic shifts, or if we had a bad hurricane season, it could lead to a year that was less lucrative financially, but perhaps more advanced in my progression as an agent, right? And I still see that now. It's not that I make every year more than I did the year prior. A lot is beyond my control.
Let's fast forward to you started building up and doing more sales in Miami Beach.
Right.
What was your first sale in Venetian Island and on the islands.
Sure.
Let's talk about that.
I think it was like for 1.2 million.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know how long ago.
And the Miami market is one of the best markets in the country.
Yeah.
It's continuing to grow. I want to ask you about pricing.
Yeah.
Because Miami's real estate prices after COVID have just gone through the roof. And your first sale on Venetian Island was just over $1 million. How have you seen prices increase over the last 5-6 years? What could you buy a house in the early days for on the Venetian Island? And then how have prices increased over the years?
It's so funny because I just did an interview with the Wall Street Journal today. So I'm just going to regurgitate what I said there. I think we're past talking about the pre-COVID and post-COVID markets.
Okay.
Right? Like we're so far removed and we're in a completely new wave now, right? We have new factors. It just doesn't make sense to go back to pre-COVID prices for a comparison, right? Because like in this piece that I was speaking to them today, they're like, well, what was this house before COVID? This house didn't exist, right? It just didn't exist. So it doesn't make sense to say it's 20 now, but it was 3 before because it just wasn't the market, right? Building brand new mega homes on waterfront or interior lot homes, it wasn't part of the status quo. Okay. So it's really hard to give like such a clear, well, this used to be 5 and now it's 15. We can do it in many other places, but so much of the product is just so much better. The land is bigger, right? The condos are more extravagant. So we're just in a different moment of the real estate cycle where the best there ever was has been built, and we can't compare it to something that was happening 6 years ago.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
The market is readjusted. It's a new normal.
It is. And I mean, I think it's been said many times. We're 2X, right? If post-COVID, Miami's 2X, almost everywhere.
So Miami's almost 2X.
Right.
And
a house that was 5 is now 10.
Is now 10.
A house that was 10 is now 20. Are there exceptions to the rule? Sure. Could a house that was 10 be now only 13? Yes. But could a house that was 10 also be a 22? Yes. There are special pockets.
And let's talk about the buyers.
Yeah.
How have the buyers evolved since COVID? We'll talk about after COVID.
Right.
And what are you seeing today? We just had 2 of Google's co-founders.
Yes.
One move here. One bought 3 properties in Coconut Grove. The other one is looking. Let's talk about
on the beach. Yeah.
The buyers and what they look like today.
They look a lot like those fellas, right? California, tech, that type of kind of age group of, let's say, 35 to 55. They are very much a reflection of the buyers that are calling me daily. They're just a lot wealthier.
Yeah. It's the amount of wealth. Ken Griffin made the move. He was huge for Miami. Jeff Bezos came down, Tom Brady, and now we're seeing another.
I love that you put Tom in the same category as Ken and Jeff.
He's an icon. He's a legend. He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And he's from what we've seen. He's also a billionaire. He's not a mega billionaire like Ken and Jeff.
Sure.
But we just got Larry and hopefully
we have a really good balance of baby billionaires to mega billionaires.
Yeah. And I think over the next 10 years, the number of billionaires with AI, with technology, where the world's going, the move to digital assets is going to double. So we have, over 3,000 billionaires. We'll likely have 6,000 in the next 10 to 15 years.
Why not?
And let's talk about waterfront design.
Yes.
And what are your favorite features in homes? What do you like? What are the buyers like? This is fun.
I like this pivot. So now the new waterfront movement is a little bit anti-spec. People still want a house that's been built by a developer that's never been lived in, especially post-COVID, right? Getting a house where no one's fingerprints or breathing has happened became a big deal. But people don't want the typical developer spec finishes. They want something built for the market with the same level of finishes that they would pay for if they were building. And they're willing to pay for it as long as it saves them 3 to 4 years of their life. So now, I actually just used the other day, a client asked me to categorize a bunch of homes on the market, and some I would classify as spec, and others I would say as premium spec.
Okay.
Right? Because the finishes are so good that it would be really hard to find that a developer did it and cut corners to save money because the finishes are premium.
So premium finishes, not spec.
Spec, not spec.
Spec and not spec.
Right.
So there's spec buyers. People just want to move in. They're like, it's new. No one's lived in it. We'll like it. We like it. We'll take it.
Well,
and then
they're
there's people
retrofitting them.
Okay.
Right. There are buyers that are taking a spec house. They want a nice, healthy discount because they are going to go and redo the floors, the kitchen, and the baths. It's wild. Right. In the past, that was never a thing. You get your modern white box. You add some wallpaper, some millwork. You warm it up. That's it. Now people are saying, I want premium finishes. I need a better price because I'm going to go upgrade all of this. It's really a new moment.
The Miami market, the real estate market here is very dynamic. There's many neighborhoods. I was just in a meeting, an architect meeting, and they were talking about how Indian Creek 15 years ago wasn't even special, and now it's
the most special community in the country.
The most special community in the country. Private, gated, you can't come on. It has its own police force.
Green, very green.
Very green, golf course,
Yeah.
some very famous people living there.
Yes.
Let's talk about the different neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Fisher Island, North Bay Road, Venetian
Yeah.
Island, Indian Creek.
Sure.
Who's buying in the different neighborhoods? Are they different profiles, different uses?
Yeah. So I think Indian Creek is worth mentioning first because hands down, that is number one, right?
Yeah.
You could poll 100 realtors and 90 of them will say Indian Creek is the top neighborhood. What comes second to that is debatable, and everyone has their own reasons. Usually the three that are grouped right underneath Indian Creek are North Bay, Lagorce Island, and Sunset Island. Some people will say Stars right above them and a notch below Indian Creek, but not everyone agrees because they're in this pocket of North Bay Road, Sunset Islands, and Lagorce Island. That pocket is the most hyped up moment of the marketplace right now. It is really hard to get a good house or a great piece of dirt on Sunset, Lagorce, or North Bay Road. Those are where the buyers are paying a big premium. Just underneath of it, I would put the Venetian. Right below that, Palm and Hibiscus, and right below that, Pine Tree Drive.
Okay, that's a great ranking.
Yes, that's my
Dina,
system.
from the Queen of Miami Beach. So these billionaires are coming. They can have anything they want. I'm hearing more and more stories of crazy offers on some of these houses.
Yeah.
And people, they just built a brand new
Yeah.
house and they get an offer for 50% more or maybe double. What does a buyer have to do in this market to buy a premium house on North Bay Road in Lagorce Island? What does that look like?
They have to be prepared to spend well over $100 million.
Well over $100 million.
Yeah.
I remember when $100 million sale was like the creme de la creme. This is front page news.
Yeah.
Now it seems
Well,
like
it just happened, right? The first $100 million sale was not too far from here. It was Ken Griffin on Brickell Avenue.
Yep.
Pretty sure that was first. And now we've had about a dozen more, 18 months later. So it's like a really new baby market,
Yeah.
right? But yet it's quite active because we're having one almost every month. The interesting things about these 100 million or so sales is they're not for finished homes. Those are being purchased for land value, right? So you're a billionaire, you come to town, you look around, you see this is what I get. And that's what's been pulling people to buy the land and build themselves because they want premium finishes and they don't want to buy someone else's. So it's been interesting because you would think, like in Palm Beach, when you hear of a 100 million plus sale, it's oftentimes a really special house, not necessarily modern, almost never.
Right.
But in Miami and Miami Beach, the sales over 100 million have almost exclusively been for tear down opportunities, which tells you that those people are going to build houses worth 200, 250, and 300 million, which is insane, right? Because you don't spend 100 for land to not put up something that's worth 250, or 300.
That's right. And like you said, we have the baby billionaires, which is crazy to say, like a baby billionaire, and we have the mega billionaires.
Yes.
And it's the mega billionaires that are coming in and really driving that 100 million plus market. Where are most of the $100 million deals focused? And what have you seen over the last 5 or 10 deals?
Well, there's probably only 10 in total.
Yep.
And they have been on Star Island, on Indian Creek, on North Bay Road, on Lagorce Island, in Coconut Grove, And yeah, that's it.
And I know these buyers are calling Dina.
I hope so.
What is their, are you talking to them directly? These people have teams.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're a trusted part of the team. What is the buying process with some of these billionaires?
It varies, just like for anyone who's not a billionaire, right? Some people want to handle everything and be very hands-on. Other people say, please talk to my, right hand, which can be anyone from an executive assistant to a chief of staff to an estate manager. Everyone kind of has their own process. Yeah, some people use a buyer that isn't them to pretend to be them. It's wild.
Yeah. And I heard you say on another interview,
Yeah.
every deal has its kinks.
Yes.
Every sale.
I'm sure you see that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nothing is a straight line. We always have our challenges. It's part of the business. It's part of the road. It's part of
Yeah.
the journey to
Yeah.
success. What are some of the craziest stories that you've had with buyers or sellers last minute, in the middle of the deal, something you had to arrange, you had to negotiate,
Right.
a tough deal, because these buyers are demanding, as are the sellers. Is there anything that stands out in your mind that someone asked for, that you had to accommodate in the deal, in the contract, in the process?
I mean, so much of it is it's just deal specific. So it's hard to just like pinpoint, one specific anecdote. But lately, there's been a new challenge in our marketplace, and it's radon.
Okay.
I had never even heard of radon until about 18 months ago when a California buyer said, add a radon test to our inspection, right? Here we always test for termites, for mold, those type of things, moisture-related issues at South Florida. But since a buyer from California added on a radon test to his inspection, I've now started doing radon tests on all my deals, and it is wild how many homes have radon.
Wow.
And I'm dealing with this almost daily.
Almost daily. What is the remediation for radon?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I had a client tell me the other day to stop explaining it. He goes, Dina, you are not a scientist, please. So I am not going to do that here. It's a thing. Mold is like, it's become part of the landscape, right? Oh, the mold results are back. Oh, it's slightly elevated. Oh, they need to pull out some drywall, dry it out, remediate. People don't freak out about mold because it's part of the Miami inspection period, right? Radon is a whole new thing, and people are freaking out. So it's added a new dimension to our business.
A new dimension to the business over the years. Let's talk about social media.
Yes.
Digital marketing.
Way more interesting than radon.
Yeah, way more interesting. You've built a great following.
Thanks.
You one of the biggest in Miami. How did you get into creating digital content? And it's so important now. What was your first step into digital content?
My first step was making my page public.
Okay.
Right. My page used to be
a big
private.
deal.
Yeah, it was a big deal. It was my friends. It wasn't a public page. And I remember my husband and I think it was like 7 years ago, we were, talking one night, and he kind of pushed me to make my page, well, one, public, and two, more interesting. And as I started posting more, I noticed that my business was getting better. And now I'm at the point where it's not, for me, it's not just like having a high level of followers. I have just over 100,000. It's nice, right? But it's the quality of my followers, right? When I look at who's watching at my stories, I'm like, ooh, like I'm impressed that they are interested in what I'm posting.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely quality over quantity.
What was it like becoming more public? Because there's an old school in a lot of industries that doesn't want to be public. They
Financial.
They want to be private.
Yeah, financial planners, attorneys, accountants, they're not really crushing the social media game. But they also traditionally are not viewed as salespeople.
Right.
Right.
Have there been any negatives of being public, or is it a lot more positive?
For sure. I mean, like anything, there's no perfect anything, right? So if we talk about social media as a marketing aspect, it is a little bit of an invasion of privacy. It does feel like you have a second job, right? Like what we're doing here, right? You're a real estate developer. I'm a sales associate for homes, yet we take the time out of our days to create, the setting, me put aside the time because we know how important it is to put out content, quality content that people are interested in. So, it's like having a second job.
And you put out really high quality content.
Thanks. So do you.
You work with Mike from Legendary Productions. And you have a famous saying.
I do.
A line that you use.
Yes, it's trademarked.
It's trademark.
You can't say it. No,
let's
I'm
hear
kidding.
it. I'm not saying it.
Yeah, it's Steph inside with me, and I own the national trademark, which we should make sure someone has renewed. Seriously, and I have the Florida trademark.
You have the national.
Yes.
Where did that come from? How did you come up with that?
I was doing my very first video, and Mike from Legendary Productions says, "Say something catchy," and I said, "Step inside with me." And then we did the next video, and I started saying it again, and then I started saying it all the time.
It sticks, and before I knew you were the Step Inside with Me top agent selling.
Love that.
Top listings.
Love that.
Your digital marketing, your branding, it's working.
Thank you. And my clients like to say it to me, right? When they call me like, "Step inside with me," I'm stepping, like it's cute, you know?
Yeah, that's endearing.
Yes.
You know it's working.
Yeah, and it's fun.
You also published an ad in Times Square.
Yes, that was a COVID moment.
How was that when you did that? Did you get a lot of positive reactions to that?
Yeah. I mean, I would overhear people talking about my ad, like at a restaurant, right? I'd hear the table next to me and I'd be like, ooh, you know, it definitely didn't necessarily lead to an immediate return of my investment because people didn't call from Times Square, say, "I'm in Times Square, I want to buy a house." That didn't happen. In fact, Times Square was closed. But people would post it on their social media and I'd repost it and created probably the biggest viral moment for my page.
I remember it to this day, and it was during COVID, and I thought that was very bold, and
Thanks.
I think that was a very smart move of you, and I'm sure you got a lot of impressions on that.
Yeah, and I got a lot of recognition, and it really fueled future ads, and there were always times with a moment in the marketplace. Like I had one up in Boston when they were passing their mansion tax. I had one in Silicon Valley about a year and a half ago when they were also talking about kind of what they're talking about now, and it was on the highway leading employees into Silicon Valley. This last one I did was in Chicago, right over there, a Mez store, also talking about, their winters versus our winters. So I try to do one every season.
California just proposed another
Yeah.
billionaire tax or a billionaire tax. Maybe now's a moment to repost in California.
For sure. And now when the phone rings and it's a 415 number, which is San Francisco, I'm answering. It used to be a 212 or 917 number calls. I was answering. And now I'm like, it's all California.
All California.
All California all day long.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So we got the Google co-founders, huge.
Mm-hmm.
Are there more people coming?
Every day. It's very, it feels very, we were all talking about the Mamdani effect, and I did a lot of press, and the media was wonderful in highlighting, how New Yorkers were going to be fleeing to Miami. And I think that they had already fled, right? Or they will once he really starts implementing policies that shift the way they live their life and their quality of life starts to suffer. But the Mamdani bump has not yet occurred, at least not in what I've seen. The California bump is in full effect.
It's in full effect.
It's wild. It's shocking.
What kind of people are moving? Is it tech people?
A lot of them are
mid-level software engineers, founders?
No, it's definitely starts at the top.
Yeah.
CEOs are their second in commands. A lot of them are in tech or private equity or hedge funds. I mean, it also feels like they do the same thing, but they have a bunch of money.
They all make a lot of money.
It seems so, and they do not like what the California governor's trying to do to them.
Yeah, thank you, Newsom. Thank you, California. Thank you, Mamdani.
Exactly. He's going to have the memes, right? It used to be, who was it, Cuomo, top realtor? It's going to be Newsom, top Miami realtor. Someone should do that.
Miami and South Florida, we
Yes.
got the New York buyers.
We've always had them. They've always been our 6 boroughs, the
Right,
running joke. I've been hearing that for 20 years,
What are the San Francisco buyers asking? They haven't. Miami is not typically in the San Francisco, Northern California circuit. Are they coming down to visit? What's that transition?
So we have a buyer coming next week, and he specifically said, "I'm going to look at Miami, I'm going to look at Palm Beach, and I'm going to look at Austin."
Okay.
Right, and I found that to be so interesting.
Yeah.
right? So they like leafiness, right? They want a community that feels green. So that naturally, to me, signals the grove.
The All-In Pod guys, Chamath, David Sachs, Jason, so the tech founders, billionaires in Northern California, tech guys. Some of them are moving to Austin, and some of them are moving to Miami.
That's great. It's nice to, for them not to feel pigeonholed.
Yes, exactly, and I hope that we attract them here.
I think we'll get our share. That's what it feels like when I see who calls me.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
For the listeners out there, they're calling Dina. These tech founders, very senior people.
Yes.
Social media. Does it work? Of course, you get notoriety. Do you get can you attribute actual business deals, closings from
Yes.
Instagram and social media?
Yes. I can attribute over 300 million to it
Over 300 million.
from what I can track.
And what does that look like? Is that someone sliding into your DM about a listing?
Well, sometimes yes, but a lot of times it's brokers, right? A lot of
Okay.
times it's brokers. We're posting coming soon. A broker reaches out saying, I have someone, when can you show it? It's not always, or necessarily the majority of the time, a direct buyer, right? It's a mix.
Okay. And what's the best channel for leads? Is it email? You have great emails. Is it Instagram?
I say email.
Okay.
I mean, because I feel like it's very easy to write to a DM
Yeah.
and say, how much, what's this? And I say, please email dinaoffice@element.com. If you don't take that moment to send that email, then you're not really interested.
Right.
So I want to create like a very small barrier,
Yep.
right? So I direct them to my inbox that is monitored because I can't monitor all my DMs. It's just too much.
People see things, they see
Yeah.
you on Instagram, but business is done through email.
Yeah, I not necessarily. I like my leads from the DM box to go to email. I don't like when people start hitting me all day or the WhatsApp and the SMS. Like, to me, those are for already established relationships. I see emails like a little bit further away. Someone else reads my emails, right? So it lets things be monitored through a third party, right? When someone sends me a message through SMS or WhatsApp, I will see those sooner and reply faster. But those are, to me, people already in my sphere.
What's the most interesting or biggest deal you've done through social media?
I'm under NDA.
Okay. Okay. And we see other mega agents. I did a video about Mamdani, and I mentioned
I love that.
you.
That's why I'm here. That video was so good. How many views did you get on that?
We got over 2 million
Wow.
2 million views, one of my most watched video.
That was hot.
And it was natural, and I didn't plan it out. You were top of mind. You also mentioned with the likes of Frederick and Ryan Serhant.
But you gave them last names, and me, it was just Dina. And I was like, wow, it's like Cher. I loved it.
It was a great moment, and I'm glad that you're here.
I really liked it.
And social media,
Yes.
it brought Dina here, so we connected
Yes.
over social media.
For sure.
I just did an interview with Grant Cardone, and I also made a video about him.
Yeah, it was good.
And that's kind of why and how we connected. Some of these other top agents are building out teams. They're building out their own brokerages. You work independently, and you still have incredible success. What's your roadmap? What's your vision? How do you like to work?
Sure.
And do you see yourself building out a team?
It's not that I don't have a team. I'm just not operating my team like other people operate their team,
Okay.
where they just want as many agents as possible and they're responsible for them and they take their sales under them and really are running mini brokerages
Right.
within the brokerage. That's not what works for me. I'm into co-listing, right? I'm into co-listing with someone else, most likely at 50-50. They're responsible for what they do best. I'm responsible for what I do best. Maybe they know the owner for 20 years, but they don't know how to market. So they ask me to join. Or maybe I say, hey, this is a little far away from me. I can't drive and get these showings. Why don't we co-list? You handle the showings. I'll handle the negotiations and the marketing and the presentation. So I have a lot of teammates in that way. I'm just not trying to do the traditional model of building a brokerage within my brokerage.
Right.
And I have co-listed with Frederick, and I have co-listed with Ryan. So they are the best examples in the country of building out teams, you know?
So you're very collaborative. You're a team player. You're not building out little mini brokerages.
No, and those are really what I get the most messages about the most in social media. Can I join your team from young agents, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just not really doing that, you know?
Let's talk about commissions. What's the commission structure for some of these mega deals?
Well, the 6% model is now, you know, when someone tells me they're offering 3%, I'm really excited because most deals are offering 2.5, at least in my marketplace and the price points that I specialize in. A lot of them, the deals over 30, are offering 2.
2%.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of the agents, when they call me and say, only two, I'm like, guys, come on, you know, like it's still a boatload of money, you know, but, and it's not that I'm driving the marketplace to lower agent fees, but about 18 months ago when they passed the new legislation requiring buyer brokerages agreements and that sellers didn't have to pay commission, right? There was a moment where sellers said, I'll give you my listing, but I'm going to pay nothing to the co-broker. And I would fight and say, I'm sorry, I can't take the listing. But if they only wanted to give 2.5 or 2, I felt that was a win because they could be saying, I'm going to pay nothing, you know? And then you can go in the MLS offering someone nothing, right? Wow. It's a big shift because it used to be everyone was getting their 2.5 or 3. It was right there in writing. It was on Zillow. It was so secure, you know? So it confuses me when people are upset by the amount of co-broker commission I'm offering or compensation when it could be nothing.
Wow.
And sometimes I call agents on $30, $40 million stuff and they go, oh, actually, we only have an agreement that protects us. Write yours into the offer. I mean, what a sucker's move.
Yeah.
Right? Like, honestly, at least I'm getting everyone something. I don't have a single listing where I'm offering someone nothing.
You've achieved so much.
Oh, thanks.
Number 1 agent, Douglas Elliman, number 1 agent in Miami. Where do you see yourself going from here? What do you want next for Dina?
I don't want that much. I really like where I'm at. And it's kind of refreshing to just get to a place where we're like, oh, this is great, you know? And the more developers build a better product, the more they think of me to represent it, you know, that for me is just wonderful. I would like to get to a point where I find more work-life balance. I don't know when that's coming. It's certainly not in high season. Most of my friends or acquaintances are like, hey, let's grab coffee. I'm like, call me after April. Or let's do dinner. I'm like, I'm available in May, right? Like I have to really limit my social commitments because I have to give so much to my clients. And then what's left, I need to make sure I can give to my family.
You have 2 daughters.
I have a son and a daughter. Yeah.
So you have a son and a daughter.
Yeah.
Husband.
Yes.
Let's talk about how kids have changed your life.
Sure. Well, you know, kids have changed my life for all the things that everyone says, all the cheesy stuff about how wonderful kids are, right? It's all true.
Yep.
It used to be that, I mean, I'm such a deal junkie that if I didn't have a deal going, that I would feel incomplete. I would get anxiety, right? Like I need to transact. But now I can get that same high from being with my kids. So when I have a big deal going and I get quality time with my kids, I feel like I'm in the ultimate pinnacle of my life.
That's incredible. So super successful real estate agent, top of the game, family woman. What's some advice for those listening? What can they do who are starting out in the industry or they've been in the industry a while to get to the next level? What advice do you have for young agents out there?
It's so hard because I didn't follow my own advice, right? I did not join a team. I said yes to everything. I wasted my time a lot. You know, it took me 10 years to get to a place where now maybe if people didn't do everything I did, they could get to in 5 years. So I'm not necessarily recommending my trajectory for anyone, but I also started very young, right? I started real estate at 22. A lot of people might be starting real estate at 30 or 32, so they can't waste as much of their time. You know, they have to really be more selective in the listings that they say yes to, because if they take it and it's overpriced, once it expires, it's coming to me or another experienced agent who's going to get it at a better price, and we're going to make the fee.
Yep.
Right. So that I was in that position. I'd say yes to everything to get the listing, to leverage the listing, to make no money. Ouch.
Right.
You know, to waste time. Ouch. So I think it's important to do what makes sense for you. If you're right out of high school and you skipped college because you want to be a realtor, you could do whatever, right? You could drive an hour and a half to a showing.
Right.
You know, you could take out an unqualified buyer. You don't have that much risk, you know, but if you're in your early 30s and you left a career to get into real estate, you have to be smarter. You have to be better. Yeah.
Dina, where can people follow you on Instagram?
Sure. My page is at Golden Dina because my name is Dina Goldentayer and my hair is also golden. So
It looks great.
Thanks so much. They can send me a DM and I will always write back. Sometimes I'll direct them to my email.
Dina, this was amazing. Thank you for being on The Long Game.
Oh, this is so good. You did a great job. You're a great host.